Okay, I want to talk about the rapture, starting with Colossians chapter 2 verse 16. So let no one judge you in food or in drink, or regarding a festival or a new moon or Sabbaths, which are a shadow of things to come. But the substance is of Christ, a shadow of things to come. Look at this right here. The feasts of Israel all point to Jesus. I got this picture from a Robert Breaker video. If you guys haven't checked him out, I would definitely check him out on YouTube. He's awesome. He's got a lot of cool videos and a lot of awesome prophecy, Bible studies, and everything like that. Now let's take a look at this picture here. The Passover is when Jesus died upon the cross. The Feast of Unleavened Bread is when the burial of Jesus Christ occurred. And then when the first fruits was going on, that's when the resurrection occurred. And then there was Pentecost, when the Holy Spirit came down. Now left over we have the Fall Feast, the Feast of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, and the Tabernacle. Now I want to focus on the Feast of Trumpets for this video because this is the feast that I believe points to the rapture of the church. Now let's read Matthew 24 verse 36. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but my Father only. Now what if that's actually a clue to when the rapture is going to occur? Even though it says no one will know the hour or the day. Let me tell you something here real quick about the Feast of Trumpets. Before science understood the cycles of the planets in the solar system, the Jews knew that there was a 2-day window for the sighting of the new moon. The new month could not officially begin until 2 witnesses reported to the high priest that they had seen the silver of the new moon. Once the first 2 sightings were confirmed, the priest would sound the shofar to declare the start of Rosh Hashanah, which is the Feast of Trumpets. I'm going to skip down to the next paragraph. But until these 2 witnesses came forth, the response from the priest would always be, no one knows the day or the hour of when the holiday would begin. Thus the words of Yeshua, that's Jesus, become significant here with this understanding. Yeshua, Jesus, was saying that he would come for his bride at Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets. His disciples would have understood immediately what he meant, but the meaning has been lost over the centuries as the scriptures have been separated further and further from their Hebrew roots. Okay, now let's read another verse that Paul wrote that concerns the rapture. I want to jump into 1 Corinthians 15:51. It says, Behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. Now check this out. In Hebraic thought, evening twilight is understood as a transitional period between day and night. It is currently understood that it is evening twilight as long as 2 stars of medium magnitude are visible, but it is night upon the appearance of a 3rd star of medium magnitude. In ancient times, some understood that night begins in a moment in time which is impossible to determine, called the twinkling of an eye. That's what they would call it in ancient times. This is interesting, as Paul prophesied that the righteous would be resurrected in the twinkling of an eye. Now, one more thing. The Feast of Trumpets is called the Feast of Trumpets because the trumpet will be blown 100 times. Now, a lot of people argue that the last trump that we read about in verse 52, where it says, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet, for the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. The last trumpet, people would argue that that is the last trumpet of the 7 trumpets in the book of Revelation. But that cannot be, because Paul didn't even know about that book of Revelation yet. Paul knew about the Feast of Trumpets, where they would blow the trumpet 100 times. And he used references that point to the Feast of Trumpets, and so did Jesus.